Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Christian Soschner, and lately I got bitten by the cryptocurrency bug, and I'm into this topic since I think 5 months ago. It was December, January, February, March, April. It's the 5th month that I try cryptocurrencies again. Back in 2017, I had my first attempt after changing my mind that I don't follow Warren Buffett in his opinion anymore, that cryptocurrencies are rat poison square at best, that they don't serve any purpose, that they don't do nothing or something, or they don't do nothing, they do something or nothing, I don't know. You know what I mean? They are worthless, they are useless. Don't buy it. This is what Warren Buffett thinks, and I changed my mind and started buying Bitcoin and Ethereum and started doing research back in 2018, and you all are aware of what happened back then. 2018, the prices fell from about $20,000 back to $3,500 at its lowest in March 2020. Since then, the market recovered tremendously. But back in 2017-18, I remember only two cryptocurrencies that I was aware of. It was Ethereum and Bitcoin. Nothing more came to my awareness. Maybe there were other cryptocurrencies back then, but I just saw these two, thanks to marketing on the internet. When I started my new attempt in December 2020, I was overwhelmed. I think about 9,000 cryptocurrencies exist and all have their position on the market. So what are the differences between the different cryptocurrencies? I found 3 that seem to focus on the topic of smart contracts. It's Cardano, Polkadot, and the third one is Ethereum. Call it whatever you want. I don't know if I spell it right. I am not a native speaker and I'm not proficient in cryptocurrencies at all, but I'm just interested and eager to learn. And I found, interestingly, a video from Charles Hoskinson. He seems to be the founder of Cardano, or is the founder of Cardano. And he explains in this video the differences between Polkadot, Ether, and Cardano. Enjoy the interview and have a great time.
We now have the 3 big runners, arguably, Polkadot, Ethereum, and Cardano. Is there the space for these 3 to operate together, or in parallel, if you will, or will there only be one winner in this smart contract space? Will there only be Cardano or Polkadot or Ethereum, or will they all coexist?
Well, I've been in the space long enough to watch the top 10 on CoinMarketCap change a lot. I remember Feathercoin and Purecoin and Freycoin and Namecoin and these things. So stuff changes. The only constant is change. So, you know, who knows if it's Polkadot, Ethereum, and Cardano. It does look like we're heading to a Mexican standoff, and, you know, it's going to be a good, the bad, the ugly type of a deal. And we don't know which one's wearing a poncho. But you know, we'll find out what happens. The market will decide that. But I think we have the wrong mentality when we look at things in a sum-zero way. At the end of the day, we have to say, are we solving the problems we set out to solve? And there's 2 sets of them. One are conceptual, and then the other problems are actual. So the conceptual problems are convincing people that you can run governance, you can run systems in a fundamentally different way. Money is a great example of that. We say, oh, okay, 2 options. You can have private money or public money. So either have a central bank that a government controls or a bank issues a currency. Both of these have screwed the pooch. There's been over 100+ years of history in modern central banking, and in private banking, we've seen all the way back to the Rothschilds and their gold certificates. In all cases, they just don't work out well. Last year, we printed $6 trillion of money out of thin air to pay for stuff, and they have the audacity to say, I still have to pay taxes. Why? If you're telling me you can print $6 trillion and it's not going to have inflation, why don't you just do that every year and pay for everything? Why not just helicopter money in monetary theory? See, that's the logical inconsistency and the temptation of the printing press. And in private money, look at Tether. or these other things. There's a lot of allegations flowing around that maybe they're a fractional reserve. And even if they're not, it's real tempting to be a private business and sit on $25 billion of cash and be like, well, nobody will really know if I take a little bit and maybe invest it in this or do it in that or something like that. That's what the Rothschilds did with their gold certificates. They say, hey, people aren't redeeming these at the rate of issuance, so we could go fractional. Nobody would even notice, and look how much money we'd make from that seniorage. Okay, so when you have those types of situations occur, maybe it's better to have a third option. And that's what Bitcoin basically did. It said, this is a deflationary money system, value system. It's like a proto commodity. It's like digital gold that allows you to build money. And it's not run by a government. It's not run by a bank. It's something new. So that's the conceptual side of cryptocurrencies. And there's all kinds of concepts: voting, property rights, identity, okay, making decisions in a transnational way. And every time you demonstrate a killer use case like that, then everybody can point to it and say, ah, I know that works. And that becomes a permanent social building block that you can use for a business. It's almost like when you're successful, they say, I want to be the Uber of X, the Tesla of Y, right? There's this concept that the business model works and we want to emulate or replicate this kind of idea. Then the actual is doing stuff. And so success for me in the space is saying, did we make a difference? How did we choose to spend our lives? So I look at the world system, and I did a TED Talk back in 2014. I've just said the same thing over and over and over again. And I'll keep saying it. Maybe one day it'll happen. We live in two worlds. We live in the developed world and the developing world. In the developing world, they're unbanked for the most part. And despite the fact that they're just as smart as us, they work harder than we do, and they're just as human as you and me, they are shafted because their systems are terrible. They live in capital controls and corrupt governments, and they live in areas where there's not good rule of law, and they don't have stable currencies. And as a consequence, no real good banking infrastructure, no good risk management infrastructure, and so forth. So they can't build wealth of no fault of their own. They lost the geographic lottery. They were just unlucky. Okay. So the point of our technology is to take a step back and say, why don't we just give them a new system? We talk about DeFi. Who's going to be using DeFi? The 25-year-old yield farming kid in New Jersey living in his mom and dad's basement? Or is it going to be the farmer in Ethiopia that's trying to get a fertilizer voucher and can actually, if he gets it, afford to repay you a 15% interest rate? It's going to be the farmer. You see, and that's what gets me up in the morning. And I don't really care if that infrastructure runs on Polkadot or Ethereum or Bitcoin. The reason I built Cardano was that I looked at all the infrastructures, I looked at their roadmap, and I realized they're trying to chase the wrong markets, they're dealing in the wrong ponds, and they're not going to really proactively go to that part of the world and help them out. So if we built Cardano the right way, it would be built in a way that would be maximally beneficial to as many people as possible. So yes, the IBMs can use us, and the Microsofts can use us, and the GMs can use us, and we can do supply chain and, all of these other things. Sure, but that's not the point. What I'm going to do is wake up and direct our commercial efforts, my company's commercial efforts, to Ethiopia and to the country of Georgia and to Southeast Asia and to Mongolia. But it's an open protocol. So as we do that, everybody else gets to use the protocol for their own use and utility. And what's so cool is you can have a merging of two worlds. So they say, well, it creates use and adoption. Would you like 10 million new customers who are under the age of 30, who are highly digitized, with rapidly growing income, who have no brand preferences? Well, of course. So, okay, come on board, build applications for that and so forth. So this is the beautiful thing where we each get to touch the elephant in a different way. And maybe somebody gets the tail and somebody gets the tusk. I am looking at it from one particular mission and viewpoint. But to solve that, I've abstracted it and built a generic framework. And I believe what we've constructed can satisfy the demands of billions of people. And as a consequence, I also believe what we've built will, in the long term, be the most competitive platform for all of these use cases. Because you know what? Whether you build a fair election system in Senegal or you build a fair election system in America, it's the same problem. And if I can make it work for some of the poorest people in the world and bring them a better election system than the one we have in the United States, why don't we go to the US with it after we've demonstrated that it works there? That's how you really get real growth and adoption and change, and get it at scales and levels that we didn't think were possible before. And that's really what I'm focused on. I don't think too much about the day-to-day of Polkadot versus Ethereum versus this, because, you know, it used to be EOS and Tezos. And flip the page, it's going to be Avalanche and F2 next year. And then it'll be something else. It'll be Bopcoin, you know, and okay. What really matters is, do you have laser focus on the vision, the market, and the problems you want to solve? And are you willing to take the risk to be there?